we live? Hello. Welcome back to Cinema Synergy. Tonight's episode we have Valentine's Day thrillers and remakes versus originals. With us tonight we have Ryan, Jordan, the ever-lovely Heidi, returning again, Jenny, and once again, Nicholas Cole as himself.
I'm going to start giving you a bow tie for when you do this.
Whoa! And on the second stage, we have the dog-faced boy and the snake lady. Blah!
As usual for our purposes and all-around techie goodness, we have Doug.
I don't know why he became like half Dracula while I was just going, no! The dog-faced boy! Anyway.
Why not?
I did not feel
Why not be half Dracula?
Yeah,
Dracula. Why not be half Dracula?
everyone's recovering from the plague. That's why Greg is not
Raise
here.
your hand if you were
Because he's
sick
got the
this
plague.
week.
You cannot see it, but I am most definitely raising
Yeah.
my hand.
We're
I didn't
focusing
get as bad
tonight
as he
on
did.
My Bloody Valentine, both the original from 1981 and
Correct.
the remake from 2009.
Correct, you
Correct
passed.
again.
10 points to Gryffindor.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I am a Slytherin.
I
fuck you.
apologize.
That's okay. Gryffindor will take the points.
Yes, they will.
That's a
because
very
they
Slytherin thing for you to know.
Well, I'm good at both. As was established. So who wants to go first? Jordan should go last.
Well, we don't.
Jordan should go
He
last.
should. We don't really have a silver screen showdown for you tonight because we all kind of agree these are good movies for different reasons.
Alright, since we just did an impromptu poll about who was sick this week, who prefers the original to the remake? Really?
All about the original.
I'm all about the original.
Modern horror movies just aren't.
I'm
Who
all
only
over it,
liked the
honestly.
remake because Jensen Ackles was in it?
Listen! But it's not the only reason. I thought the story was better in the, and the acting was better in the remake.
I like them both evenly. That's
But for
Okay.
different
For different
For
reasons.
different reasons.
Yeah, it's a hard call.
It's hard
It
to
is a
say
hard
because
call.
they're
Yeah.
really different types of movies.
Because the
Yes, they
2009 is a remake that's done like well,
It's not
which
really
is crazy because that's
It's not really a remake.
It's
Right.
not, and I will go into that with my notes.
It's like a reimagining.
Right.
Yeah.
Which I dig
But
about
the
it.
first
I
one
like
is
that it's
very
not a shot for shot
traditional-
remake.
Yeah.
Very traditional 1970s, 1980s slasher film.
Without the tits.
Yeah, without the tits.
Zero tits.
Zero, no nudity. Well, which is
No, that's not true.
There was
The
some.
chick at the beginning who's
yeah, she got
sexualizing
her
the
tits
gas
out.
mask.
Oh,
She has her tits out.
yeah.
No, that's in the remake.
No, it's not.
No, it's
It's
that's
just
in the original.
Alright, I'm sorry, you have better knowledge.
She has that weird heart tattoo on
Yeah.
her.
Yes,
that's
yes.
the only titillation that we get in the original.
Oh dear.
Aside from
Well,
that, it's a
depending on
very
who you are.
traditional slasher film in the idea of Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, except without the supernatural bent.
People getting punished for having parties and
For
social
having in
lives.
this very particular Valentine's Day party.
Alright, now let me jump in here. Like, the original focused on the Valentine's Day dance. It was the first dance they had in 20 years?
Yes.
20 years.
That's what
In
made
the
it
remake, they were just having a party at this mine. There was no Valentine's Day dance, period.
Well, no, that's because they were planning on having a Valentine's Day dance and it got canceled.
I don't remember it getting canceled.
Hey,
let's have a
burger at the mine.
Well, that's what it feels like in the second one. It is a bunch of teenagers hanging out at the mine, teenagers late, early 20s.
It was kind of like the end of the original.
Yeah,
It
like
was just some fucking assholes that are going down the mine.
And that actually for me is slightly more believable. I totally believe that a bunch of idiot teenagers would show up and be like, I'm gonna get drunk at the mine, that's safe.
Right.
Yeah, I can get behind that.
I didn't like in the remake how it didn't have as much of an emphasis on like the minor culture.
That is true.
Because like the
Mine
whole
culture was a big deal.
Yeah, that is very true.
in the whole remake, they're constantly like, the mine means so much to our town, and everyone depends on
But you
it.
never see any miners.
But like you hardly ever see the miners, you hardly ever see the
The only
mine.
economic force in this entire village. Where are all the miners?
Right, and like you just don't.
These are teenagers, but they're not miners.
You just don't see it in the remake. In the original, it's all about like minor culture. Like you see them like taking the weird shower that you wouldn't think of, but obviously a bunch of coal miners are gonna have to take this crazy ass shower.
Absolutely nobody dies of black lung.
Right, and they're like wiping off all this coal dust, and then like they're all driving into town together because the shift is over, and like they kind of roll into the bar, and they're like, the miners are here,
Right.
and we're here to be awesome and party. Let's do it, and everyone's kind of like we were doing shit back off for a while. So like I missed that in the remake for sure. Like I was upset that wasn't as much of a factor. By the way, really quick, since we're only talking about these two movies all night, this is gonna be a spoiler-heavy discussion.
Oh yeah, it truly is.
Yeah.
So if anyone is listening to this and hasn't watched these movies,
Either of these movies, even though one of them's 20 years old,
right?
30 years old.
So fair warning. Moving on.
Another thing
Let's not do the math.
Another thing I noticed, actually, between the two movies is the first one takes place in the town of Valentine Bluffs. The second one takes place in the town of Harmony.
Yes.
That's because one's in Canada and one's in Pennsylvania.
And also, it seems like they tried to take the second movie slightly more seriously. And a town called Valentine's Bluffs does not sound
It really doesn't.
serious to me. Like, that doesn't sound like... So they were trying to be more of a... Valentine's Day factors in far less in the sequel
Right.
than it does.
I have to argue that the original's a little more serious. Like they shot it in a real coal mine, whereas the remake, like all the mine stuff, is done on a soundstage.
But I feel like the first one takes itself more serious, or the second one takes itself more
So people
seriously
know what we're talking
than the
about.
first one. Yeah, sure, it's a more legitimate set, but it doesn't mean that the second one seems to be more of a I guess I would say cerebral. Like it's more of a psychological thriller, or trying to be at least. Well, the second one is, as everyone said before, a far more traditional slasher film.
Okay, so before we totally just
Keep going.
angry mob this to death, because that's where we're going.
Yes.
If
You
you
wanna
want to do a synopsis, I have one ready.
All right.
Oh, awesome.
Okay.
Please do.
Please.
Okay.
We're getting professional.
So this is from a review from the New York Times, 1981, by Tom Buckley.
Oh, sweet.
So-
Tom Buckley's an asshole, by the way.
All right.
Fuck you, Tom Buckley.
Just when it seemed that quickie horror movies had touched bottom, this Canadian production, which opened, yesterday, 1981, at Lowe's State and other theaters, drops the level of shoddy exploitation another 2,000 feet or so. The measurement is quite literal because most of it takes place in a mine. As the film begins, the village of Valentine's Bluffs, overlooking the Atlantic Ocean in what looks like Newfoundland, is about to resume its old custom of having a St. Valentine's Day dance after a lapse of 20 years. Don't do it, warns the bartender at a local tavern. But if such warnings weren't disregarded, where would the makers of horror pictures be? The ugliness of what follows, a murderer who cuts out the hearts of his numerous victims, is intensified by the absence of the least vestige of talent on the part of anyone concerned with the film. Scarcely surprising, considering that none of the main people involved, George Mihalka, the director, John Baird, the writer, and the leads Paul Kelman, Laurie Hallier, and Neil Affleck, seems to have had significant professional experience. Two of the producers, John Dunning and Andre Link, were responsible for Meatballs, which was nearly as tasteless in a rather different way.
Look, Meatballs
Oh,
is awful.
you cannot attack me. It's awesome.
Movies like My Bloody Valentine are usually distributed by obscure companies with one-room offices, but the culprit here is Paramount Pictures, which might have been expected to put limits on what it would do for money. So there's a synopsis with, obviously this guy hated the movie too, so that's his...
Are you sure?
I mean, I agree on the acting talent thing, but honestly, that's just far.
Well, it's a slasher film. You want
That's what I'm saying. Like, he's being far too critical of what I consider just a
guy's
meatball
got-
slasher film.
Sweep the cobwebs off his
Celebrities in a
vagina.
slasher
Like a
film.
movie.
I think
I'm watching celebrities and slasher film.
I read every review that was on this movie, because there's not that many in 1981, not as many people did reviews. For the 2009 version, there was like probably close to 100.
Wow.
I believe that.
Published reviews, right? But in 1981, there were like 7. So I read all of them.
So
and
he
they
was-
were all negative. All of them. So I think it was
Well,
the climate at the time.
Yeah.
Maybe people were sort of fed up with
To be
this
a
type
cock.
of movie.
that should teach you exactly how far you should
Right.
take, or how much weight you should give to professional reviews.
Right. Well, here's the review of this guy. There was a movie that happened in a mine in Canada, and I didn't like it.
Exactly.
Yeah, right. That's,
Yeah.
It took a fair few fucking
I'm gonna throw out
paragraphs to
some
tell me
technical
about.
word salad to
Right.
make it sound like I
Yeah.
know what I'm talking
But
about.
he doesn't know what he's talking
Yeah.
about. I only learn.
Well, just to give you an idea, like
I would keep you on the payroll, sir.
here's another. This one's only 2 sentences long. My Bloody Valentine, a Canadian import, should be wrapped in red crepe paper, tied with a big red bow, and marked "Return to Sender." It's a gruesome greeting card for which the sentiment might read: "Roses are red, violets are blue. In movies like this, there's nothing new." That's Michael Blowen.
That's real sad.
Yeah, they're all like that. They're all those were
That's
just
really telling
my
me they
favorites.
didn't take a look at like the cinematography and some of the shots of this film are awesome.
Yeah, like the DP was fucking out of its mind. Like the just like all the lighting and the weird deep focus they do on the mine, and
The,
then like
the lighting is really interesting. 'Cause
Yeah.
Remember, we said they shot in an actual mine shaft.
Yeah.
And one of the concerns was methane pockets, so they had
so they had to use fluorescent
yeah,
light,
very restricted
which is
sort of lighting they could
fucking
use to
terrible
avoid making
shoot.
the
It
whole
is,
mine blow
but-
up.
Yeah.
But it gave this really weird, creepy, subterranean lighting effect to the whole thing, and it worked so well.
Which is one of the reasons that practical effects
right.
Will
are
always
better
trump
Yeah.
than CGI. CGI has its place. Don't get me wrong. I love
Time
technology.
and it
I
has
love
its place.
CGI.
Time and that
It doesn't have its
is-
place in horror
The
movies.
time and that place is in Pixar Studios for small children.
Yeah.
It doesn't
And even then.
have its place in every movie. But yeah, basically similar to what Trav
The gore
rambled
effect.
over me about.
Right.
Where
The gore effects in the original My Bloody Valentine are fucking intense. Like the
Yes.
the lady
the lady in the
drops out
dryer
of the dryer and her flesh is all cooked off. That's
and it's
horrifying.
super gross.
Right?
It's horrifying.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my lord,
If it's
what
like-
the hell?
And we're back after some slight technical issues. I believe Heidi was about to read some synopsis stuff for us.
Okay.
The
So
synopsis of the remake is what we're doing.
I think we're still on
no,
the first one.
we're still
Oh.
on the first one.
So we're still on number one.
Yeah, no, he
Yeah,
doesn't
like
give a
7
full
synopsis.
synopsis. It's just
course
like
he
a
doesn't.
very
He's a
brief
hack
one.
reviewer.
No, I just wanted
hate
to
this
provide
guy.
like
I hate you.
a little explanation of the film. Does
I'm
anyone
coming
else
for
want to
it.
expand? I mean, basically, like he gives you the basic plot in like a 2-line sentence, and then he talks about how much he hates it.
Give us what he has, and then we'll see if we want to expand.
He sounds like a clown.
He is a clown. It's like one of the worst critics to walk the face of the earth. But whatever.
Tom Buckley.
Digress. Yeah.
We don't need another
No,
critic
no,
who
no,
hates
no,
everything.
no,
That's
no,
my
no.
shtick.
Right.
Let's listen to this.
Go ahead, Heidi.
No, I read it already. That's all there was.
Do you
It
have
wasn't.
do you have one for the
It's not a
remake or
full. It's not a full synopsis.
That's fine.
I just took an excerpt from it.
Do
You
you
want to
have-
read it again?
Do you have one for the remake?
For the remake? No.
Okay.
Okay, well, we can
No.
continue from there.
I just took excerpts
That's fine,
of reviews.
Where were we? I was talking about
We were talking about
lights.
effects.
Practical
Practical
effects.
versus
I
CGI.
was starting to say something. and then-
Practical gore effects, essentially, like the dryer.
The dryer, the
Well,
Valentine heart, and the rib cage where he pulls the little like paper heart out of the guy's fucking.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it was
And the
on-
guy's actual reaction.
Yeah, like that was some the older folks, like the mayor, the old lady, and then the sheriff in the original movie are the better actors.
Yeah, they're great. in it.
The young,
Yeah.
the kids are not.
Except for Fat Stash.
Fat Stash is amazing.
Yeah.
I knew that was coming.
But the rest of them, honestly, like I didn't remember names for 3/4 of that
Yeah.
film. They were essentially interchangeable.
the only names I
That was
really
my
remember
problem.
are Axel and Sarah.
Right.
And
And
Howard.
Tom.
There's also Howard.
Tom, Howard Fat Stash.
No. Howard was the guy who tried to keep on snorting beer up his nose.
That's right, because he was
Right.
an idiot.
Apparently, beer snorting is a thing. But anyways, with the first movie, I had trouble connecting with the characters. I kind of
Yeah.
No, there were so many like random like
there were a
teenager
lot of
characters
Yeah.
that I was like, I don't know who I'm supposed to be following.
Right,
Like
right.
I could pick up the like Axel, Tom, and what's her bucket?
What's
Sarah?
Sarah.
Yeah.
Like obviously that was the trio, but then you had all these other random characters. It just seemed like there was so much stuff.
Maybe that's one of the weaknesses then, because none of the characters really fall into the traditional. Do we want to talk about one movie at a time, or do you want to keep going about these? Let's talk about
Exactly.
one movie at a time. Okay.
No, I agree.
But they are different in their own right, but that's what makes them so memorable than the remake. Because I
Except
mean,
they're not memorable. That's the point.
And there's such a narrow
Because the original had like the crotchety bartender who like wanted to scare them. With,
The
like, dummy of
Harbinger,
the
I'm
minor.
sorry.
Yeah.
The Harbinger.
Every slasher flick from the 80s and late 70s has a prophet, harbinger, old dude who's obviously crazy and tells the tale.
So named by Cabin in the Woods.
Well, that was much later.
But
I
that,
mean,
like that, they kind of conceptualized.
Well, like,
I
you
could
have-
swear it was the same guy from Friday the 13th.
It wasn't though. He probably watched Friday the 13th and went, that's,
I can do that.
I'm gonna do that.
I'm skinny
I'm
and
gonna be
weird.
that
I got
guy.
a weird hat. I'm gonna do that.
My weird hat and my weird beard.
Right?
So focusing on the original for a little bit here. What
We
worked?
haven't been so far.
No, we haven't been. We've been back and forth. What works? What doesn't work? Trav?
What works? A lot of like the lighting and the shots are fantastic.
Cinematography.
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 I like that the killer has a very distinctive style where he like cuts out the hearts and puts them in the Valentine boxes. You know, it's very.
Even though they kind of lose track of that.
They do, but at least
Yeah.
it's in there to begin with. And
That's
it gives
true.
Him, it starts to give him something of an identity as a killer, which gives you the idea that they were trying to set this up as a franchise, a la Friday the 13th or Elm Street or what have you. They don't hold on to it very well, but
I'd like to see My Bloody Valentine takes Manhattan.
yeah.
Yes. This guy in a full mime suit running down.
Right?
I really. Are you more?
No, I don't think I do.
Okay. I really dig that it's like an actual mystery.
Right.
Because like you don't really have that in a lot of like slasher movies. Like you know it's Jason, you know it's Mike Myers,
You know it's Freddy Krueger.
you know it's Freddy Krueger. You don't really know who it is here because like they give you the guy that they want you to think it is Henry.
Yeah.
Harry.
And it's obviously not Harry.
Yeah.
He's been
It's
fucked
not
like-
Harry Warden.
Right.
Like you know it's not Harry Warden.
But
they want
you can't
they
find
want you to
him.
think it's Harry Warden, but you know it's not Harry Warden. Everyone knows that. No one knows who the killer is. It turns out to be Axel in the first one.
Spoiler alert.
And we mentioned that earlier. This movie spoiler.
Nobody can complain.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Film's been out for 30 years. You know it's Axel.
So I dig that it was an actual mystery. I dig like the visual motif of like the gas mask. Super cool. Like because when you look at like the promotional material and stuff, you're like why is this guy wearing a gas mask? It turns out because it's a coal mine.
Like the weird Darth Vader breathing.
Yeah, you have like this Darth Vader throwback for all the Star Wars geeks. I really Dig Dug, all of that stuff. I thought it was really cool. It gives this particular movie a whole lot of character versus a lot of movies. I feel of that
Versus
time
like
frame.
other
Yeah.
Thriller Killer, The Prowler,
Yeah, like
Town That Feared
like I mean
Sundown,
you can
like movies
you
like
can
that.
take like a roll of
Yeah.
toilet paper, write slasher movies on it till you're done, and
Right.
throw the thing out there, and they're all pretty much the same thing. This one has a lot of character. I liked that. Character's important.
It was interesting that it was old people dying, not teenagers to begin with.
Yeah.
Yes.
That revenge element.
You have like the revenge killing of old people, which anyone who's worked retail feels that. feeling, right? Yeah, I got that too.
No, I don't know what that feels like whatsoever.
I sense sarcasm.
That's in the middle of my spiel. Like,
Oh my, I'm sorry.
you're on.
What do I like about the original? I like. Well, I mean,
What are your
thematically,
thoughts?
it's very focused in on the Valentine's thing. Which I mean, if you're gonna call it My Bloody Valentine, go with that. Like it's very thematically focused. I do like the mystery that you don't know who the killer is for most of the time. I kept second guessing. I narrowed it down to 3 people in the last 45 minutes, and then or last 20 minutes probably.
Were you still right or wrong? I don't remember. I was dead.
You were dead. I had it down to the mayor, Axel, and Tom.
Oh, okay.
Because solely the mayor because he hadn't showed up on screen in like 45 minutes. And I did like that element of it, like that mystery element. It was well shot. I liked a lot of the sort of theme around the like the darkness and the sort of mysterious, the breathing and everything in that first one. The big weakness I think is like the acting. I think that the teenager, young adult characters are almost entirely interchangeable as acting. I was supposed to be sympathizing with the girls, especially towards the end of it, like because they're the survivors, like because you're not sure if it's Tom or Axel. I was like, one's sort of slutty, one's not. I don't know, like they're totally interchangeable. I was like,
That's Canadian.
A very borderline degree of slutty too. Like she spent the whole time talking about how she had this risque dress, and then she comes out.
Cut down to here.
yeah, and she was absolutely
That
loyal to
was
her
awful.
boyfriend too. Like she was slutty, but like
My
slutty in the
favorite scene in the movie.
like extremely loyal too. So it's like you couldn't really pick a
But you look at this
characterization.
dress, it's like Amish people would wear this dress. It's not.
Yeah, so I don't know. I just
Or
second
Canadians.
I didn't like, because I never pitched out and not like, I didn't like the little getaway speech at the end. It felt super forced. And even though this came beforehand, it reminded me of Judge Doom from Roger Rabbit.
when he runs off into
He
the
runs off into the distance, he's like, I'm gonna get you, Bloody Valentine! Ah!
You're running down a decommissioned mine shaft. Where the fuck do you think you're
well,
going?
actually, that makes me think of the one thing that I didn't like is that they went with his trauma was the murder. He watched his brothers die, or watched his father get murdered, and his trauma reaction was, "I'm gonna grow up to be that guy." Like
We watched a similar movie called Santa.
No, not Santa.
Silent Night, Deadly Night.
yeah, like
Deadly
here's
Night
a
was
serious
awesome.
trauma in my life. That's my life goals. Like, oh.
And in case anyone who doesn't know, Silent Night, Deadly Night is about a guy who, just like a drunk murderer,
Right.
cruises
That's
around
the
on Christmas
Santa Claus.
Eve dressed as Santa Claus, robs like a liquor store,
Yeah.
and then kills this dude's parents, sending him to an orphanage.
Right.
And then he grows up and is triggered by Christmas to kill people.
Trigger warning.
Because that's what happened to him.
Naughty.
So yes, there's definitely parallels to
Yes.
this movie.
But not direct parallels, because like
Same
it's,
town, different holiday.
When he comes from, and at least with Silent Deadly Night, you knew where the trauma came from. Like
Yeah.
they kind of pasted the trauma on My Bloody Valentine. Was like the
At the
last
very end,
15 seconds. Like it made more sense for Tom for being like this failed actor, failed whatever he was supposed to be. Couldn't get through, couldn't be successful in
Failed
his life.
vagabond.
Whatever,
Right.
like lost his
that's
girlfriend, his dad's the mayor, he's under a lot of pressure. Like it almost made more sense for him to snap. And so then they went, no, here's our plot twist. It's Axel. He saw a murder.
What a twist.
What a twist. Like that's his goal in life. He's now going to be a crazy gas mask serial killer.
however, Silent Night, Deadly Night, it was obvious the entire time. It was awesome.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
Santa Claus killed my parents, and now I'm crazy.
Maybe Santa Claus killed my parents. I'd probably be a little crazy too.
You're up next.
Sorry.
What I was saying earlier, because the acting, it had much more like depth in with the characters in the original than it did with the remake. Because the remake just kind of has like these one-shot people. The exception being the one girlfriend who Axel knocks up.
Don't worry about the remake, though.
Yeah.
What did you like about the original?
What did you like about the
Yeah,
original?
focus. Because it had like the people who were killed, but it also had the memorable scenes, like the showerhead sequence.
Yes.
When they were in that scene where they had all the clothes coming down, and then suddenly you see this guy, like he picks her up by the head, impales her on the showerhead, and then look, she's become a human showerhead. It's
That
just
water was way too clean.
Which was
That
a
was-
huge, it was a huge red herring because earlier on we saw somebody else pick her up by her head and kiss her. Yeah, I think the same guy.
How do I not remember this?
Maybe
It was the Vulcan sex pitch.
Yeah, maybe
That's right.
that's the killer because he did that same thing.
Yeah, Vulcan sex pitch. That was a phrase. I remember this
Red
now.
herring.
But I mean, even in the original, when you have like Axel and Tom, like who are at odds with each other because they both love the same girl, and you're like wondering which one of them is which because they're both going down into the mine together, and you're just like, one of them has to be the killer, right? And the entire time you see them like disappear for periods of time, and you still have no idea which one is going to be the killer
Yeah, but which one's the real one?
until the very end. And then, I mean, even Howard and Fat Stash had like such memorable.
Can someone please fact check Fat Stash's name?
Give me a phone.
I'm on it.
Well, I'm never going to call him by his name now.
Yeah.
He's only going to
No,
be
yeah,
that.
it's Fat Stash.
I want to know if he had a counterpart in the remake. I got him.
Oh, that's
There weren't
fair.
enough characters in the remake.
Yeah, and I don't think he did.
Yeah.
If he had any counterpart in the remake, it would be the dude who punched the mirror and like fucked up his hand.
Yeah.
And then got killed like in the next like
Got
10
killed after
minutes.
throwing down with the murderer for like 6 rounds.
True. Got killed almost overcoming the murder.
I've got nothing but respect for a guy in a slasher film who
Yeah.
can go toe to toe and like punch out the murderer.
Fat Stash 2.0 and Van Guy from the original Prom Night. Or
Yeah.
fucking, yeah.
Apparently, because it was a thing in late 70s, early 80s horror movies to have a fat dude with a mustache
Who was a ladies' man?
who was the ladies' man.
Right.
Cause
Yeah. I don't think Van Guy.
did Van Guy have a mustache?
I don't think he had a mustache.
He didn't have a
I think he
mustache. So you had fat ladies' man who is
It's a
like
signature
an
thing, a van
is
or a
like
mustache.
an underdog hero,
Right.
It wasn't
that you root for,
It wasn't
but
just
doesn't quite do it.
Right. He's ultimately overcome.
Ultimately overcome
It
by whatever
wasn't, it
villain.
wasn't just
Right.
horror films though. You see this in a lot of like the sexploitation comedies of the late 70s
Right.
too, where this large rotund
Right.
guy comes out of nowhere as a sex guy.
Run,
Oh, we're
Jeremy.
thinking about
He's a very short rotund.
You know what?
Van Guy got there
Large in a
because-
different sense.
Largely because of his weed.
there's that weird Israeli movie, Lemon Popsicle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lemon popsicle?
Lemon Popsicle. It's
Women
awesome.
popsicle.
Women Popsicle. And there's a fat guy in that
Yeah.
who's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, like the awesome.
Porky's the fat
Watching
guy's
that.
awesome.
That
Yeah, we
movie's
were watching.
crazy.
Yeah, Porky's
Yeah.
fat guy's pretty good.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's just at that tail end of the 70s, early 80s, they got the fat guy who's awesome for no obvious reason.
Right.
And it's like, that's good body positivity. I can deal with that.
Anyway. We just digressed like
All
crazy.
right. So yeah, I totally agree about the gross stuff and fat stash and the suspense, and I overall like this movie for a lot of reasons. But I think my favorite part of the 1981 My Bloody Valentine is what I'm going to coin as the "you're stupid" moments, which are all those moments in the film, and this is with a lot of horror movies that we watch, and especially these older ones. I'm noticing they do these things that are just inexplicably stupid that force you to scream at the screen, right? So things like, oh, let's have sex in this coal shaft. That'll be romantic. And look at all like these dirty clothes hanging around. Who in their right mind thinks that's hot? Really?
I don't know
Like,
about how,
this
but I
is
do it just to say I
stupid.
had done it.
And then she
Yeah.
stays alone there while he goes to get beer among all the, oh gosh. So
they
that's
know
your
they're a
stupid
horror
moment.
movie.
The main "you're stupid" moment in this entire film, though, for me was that they're at the Valentine's Day dance, and all the girls are like, "Ooh, let's go party in the mine, fellas," right? And these poor guys, after working in the mine, probably 12, 14 hours, getting all dirty. Oh yeah, let's go down there, right? Who's gonna want to do that? Like, do you want to go back to work after a day at work and like just get drunk?
I don't want to go back to work.
Does
after
anyone
4
want
hours.
to do that? You okay?
However, would you want to go back to work to fuck amongst the pallets?
I don't know. I mean, that's
like
This is my
in
point.
the, like in the
This is
fucking
what I'm
warehouse.
saying.
But I mean, those.
No!
But this film just has so
Yeah, you're
many
right.
of those
There's
moments.
sawdust in the air.
It would be completely awesome to find some girl at a bar and take her back to my office and bend her over my desk.
Well,
It'd be completely
if you're working in an office.
You work in an office.
You work in an office.
I'm
no
saying
home
it, if you work
place.
like, say you work at McDonald's or something like
Ladies,
very
yes.
appealing.
Just letting you know.
At McDonald's, you did it at McDonald's.
Burger King,
Oh.
yes.
Well, oh God!
Right on
Not
top,
on the food, right?
right on top of the Hershey
food.
pies.
Here, I just had a fish sandwich.
Issue that you realize.
Conversation derailed.
Yeah. All right.
Let's bring it on back.
Bring it on back to hiding.
That's my favorite part about this film is it's laughably bad,
that is the thing
and
that
I think that's something that only modern audiences can appreciate. People who were going to see this movie in 1981, which I think that's why the critics are so mad at it.
not
They
enough
were
pictures
expecting
is
it
the
to be
problem.
like in line with something like Halloween or which even that has some like
Maybe
stupid
that guy?
moments, but as modern
Yeah,
audience, we can look back and go like, oh, this is so stupid, and laugh at it and have a good time. But so that's why I appreciated this movie.
There are not enough pictures on IMDb of the actors
To
in
identify
1981
Fat
to
Stash,
identify Fast Stash.
Fuck.
He will forever be known as Fat Stash.
Like there's things we have to watch the movie, find out his name, and then double check on the remake.
Should we throw out some kind of prize for the first person to identify Fat Stash?
Like what?
I don't know.
Come on down, we'll buy you a drink. Identify Fat Stash.
Find his name. His real name.
Anyway, 1981's My Bloody Valentine. So, I don't know, I saw this a few years prior to seeing it again. You know, like this time, I decided to fucking like do this podcast and like freak out. You know, and have a bunch of people around my place to like, you know, watch these movies. And, you know, the first time I saw it, I was super bummed out by it because I was expecting far more exploitation than I actually got. I thought like My Bloody Valentine was gonna be like just this fucking like intense, fucking crazy boob-filled slaughter fest. So not that many people actually get killed. There's maybe one boob in the entire movie. Here's what I like about it though, right? Okay, cinematography is awesome. Nearing like fucking, it's really good, right? Like there's things they do with the lights, like the lighting they have, you know, like the natural light of the locations, like the fucking like the weird restaurant they all hang out at, the laundromat where they find like the ladies like fried up body in the dryer, you know, like just the things they're doing with the camera, like the weird deep focus, you know, that they like in a lot of the scenes. There's a scene where it's not Axel, it's that other dude.
Tom.
It's Tom. It's the Vulcan sex bench scene.
No,
Where
his
they go,
name is TJ. We've been doing it
TJ.
wrong this whole time. Tom's the remake guy.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
TJ.
TJ.
But what do you think the T
Right.
stands for?
Just his name's Jesse
Tom
TJ.
Jones.
The Jesse, apparently.
Nice.
Jesse, I love
Well, Jesse. Anyway, so like
TR.
there's one particular scene where fucking like TJ and his lady go on just like this weird peninsula with like a horrifying like coal refiner in the background or whatever, and they just use like a crazy like deep shot to just show the isolation of like Canadian tundra and like weird like gross things. And I kind of like it.
Looks like Newfoundland, which is
Yeah.
less tundra and more
Whatever.
desolate islands.
Definitely
Yeah.
look. I don't know. I don't know.
Canada.
It looked
What do you
isolated
want?
and desolate. Yeah.
Point is, Canada's fucking disgusting and depressing.
Horrible.
I like
barren
Canada.
wasteland.
Canada has
Yeah.
brought me lots of good things.
Like what?
Hockey.
And,
What else?
Yeah, like
Crosby.
Poutine is kind of okay.
It's cheese curds.
I like their beer better than the American beer. What they say.
Like they, the
Black
DP
fly,
and the director
Canadian
work
US
together
black fly.
to, you know, like communicate the isolation of this like weird insular mining community that's going on, which I like. I like that. I like that it's just like some fucking like weird place in the middle of nowhere. They all have to solve their own shit. Like even though something only happened like 20 years ago, it becomes a fucking like a weird legend that they all have to. They all have to like deal with, you know, like this whole murder.
But theoretically, with the way they talk about it, like there's been issues with trying to host the Valentine's dance before.
Right.
Like that's kind of implied.
Yeah.
Where like they tried to have a dance and there was an issue and we couldn't do it.
Right.
And then they tried again and there was another issue.
It might have
and we
been
couldn't
murders.
do it. Might have been more
Might not have
murders.
been
Or
murders.
just been like people afraid. But in the first movie, it makes a lot more sense. Like you said, that isolation, it makes a lot more sense that the only cops involved are like
Right.
the mayor and old man sheriff.
Right.
Old man.
It makes
sheriff.
way more sense that they're like we can't get help because it's like because of that isolation.
Right.
Well, in the
We
second
are
one,
in the
it
middle of nowhere.
doesn't make as much sense. It's more of the sheriff being a dick.
Right.
They-
Yeah, they're in the only coal mine in fucking like Canada. Stuff there in the middle of
the one coal mine.
Providing all the coal for like everyone, and it's just like this crazy. It's almost like a
For all of
frontier,
Canada and 30% of America.
right? It's almost like a frontier scenario where you got like two guys who are like supposed to solve all the crimes and fucking like keep everyone's shit together. Even though there's crazy coal miners running around, there might be a murderer. You know what I mean? And like when people leave, they come back. They're like alienated from the rest of like the society that they come back into because this one guy tries to go out to the coast or whatever and be an actor. Whatever the fuck that means. I'm not even entirely confident what coast he went to.
I think they said West,
Yeah.
but I'm also not entirely sure.
So Vancouver? If you're going to be an actor, you got to go to Toronto, which would be down. That's not even.
If you gotta go to Vancouver to break
Right.
into acting, what are you trying to be on?
That's-
Sesame Street?
That's why he's a failed vagrant. But yeah, I like that whole like weird like isolation, like the mystery of it. Fucking practical effects in this film are like they're just crazy and just, they're dripping and just awful. But I really like to look at them because they're fun. But I wish there would have been more. Like by Bloody Valentine, it seems like he would have killed half the town by the time.
His body count is very low.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting that you say the term dripping. Going back to actually the score for the film.
You?
Gross. The score for the film. The person who wrote all of the music for the original movie.
There's music in the original?
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot of
missed
There's a lot of music and it actually won some awards.
It had like a hillbilly vibe.
Very hillbilly vibe, but they wanted to make this. They described it as a very visceral kind of sound where they got the dripping and the moisture in the mines as part of the ambiance of the entire audio thing of the film. But I interrupt.
Thank you.
And I guess for me, I like the fact that let me just flip it this way.
So you're not looking at me or lift it around.
I actually like
Jordan was done. I kind of interrupted.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty done.
I kind of like the fact that it's Valentine's Day. That's not something you really touch on in a horror movie.
Yeah, we need more like minor holiday horror.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
And
Arbor Day.
Arbor Day.
and it takes
Like a
place in a
pirate.
coal mine. I don't know any other movies that take place in a coal mine. That's what I liked.
I'm sure I could think of one if I wanted to.
I feel like there's something, but I just can't think of it right now.
Yeah.
So one
Well,
thing.
there's fucking coal miner's daughter that doesn't take entire place in a coal mine. It's fucking disgusting though.
Yeah.
I hate that movie.
I was about to
But anyway.
say The Mask of Zorro. That's a gold mine, not a coal mine. So.
Since a lot of you brought up the camera work in this film, you liked it. One of the things I came across when I was like doing a little prep for today is a lot of people accuse them of totally ripping off John Carpenter's camera work style. Do you think that like they?
Oh yeah, John Carpenter's Vampires takes place in. I think it's a coal mine.
No.
No.
This
it
the
silver
point of
mine?
view, the killer point of
It
view.
wasn't a mine at all.
That camera.
There's
so like
mine in it in the end.
There's a mine in it.
Yeah.
But
No,
so I
but-
guess
the camera work, like
Yeah.
just the angle of the camera is what I'm saying. That people
because there
accuse
are a
them of
lot of first-person
just-
shots.
Yeah,
in that movie.
that was
I
something
mean,
that John Carpenter like
A lot of people
pioneered.
do.
Yeah.
I don't go so
Like,
far as
I
to
wouldn't
say
say
John
ripping
Carpenter.
off.
No, you don't think so?
Yeah,
I don't
there
think
were
so.
first person
Okay,
shots and
that's just what I
movies
came up.
before
I'm not saying that myself. The
Okay.
research I read said that he pioneered it.
Well, all these like bullshit.
So-
I was gonna say, I think we pretty well established that most of us dislike the reviews that you found.
Well, not just film critics. You know,
Oh,
I read some other stuff too that
And I guess that might be an issue of
scholarly.
audience. An issue of audience is
Right.
that we've seen it so often at this point in 2017 that it's no longer like, oh, someone's ripping off. It's more of, oh, it's more an homage. It's in the style of.
Right.
But if there hadn't been as many horror films with that first-person killer, like first-person shot of the killer, up until My Bloody Valentine, it would look more like a direct rip-off of
what do
Carpenter's
they call that?
style.
Monster Cam or something?
But if,
Yeah,
if
it's
John
like killer
Carpenter's
point of
ripping
view.
off
I
anyone,
guess is what it's called.
if John Carpenter's ripping off anyone, it's the fucking Italians because like
Yeah.
Always.
What time is it? 37 minutes before he said the Italian filmmakers.
Well, what
No, tell me about your spaghetti horror films.
Well, just like this is kind of like a two-part question. So, do you think that the 1981 My Bloody Valentine is good as a standalone, or is it good compared to the 2009
Yes.
Bloody Valentine?
I'm gonna say yes to both.
Yes.
Yes,
It's very good as a
okay.
standalone.
I feel
it's
both.
very good compared to the remake.
And as we said, both have their high points.
Yeah. So let's talk about some of
Let's
those
talk
high
about the
points.
All
remake.
right, that's a good transition.
Well, there was an earthquake, small earthquake, and Doug juggled this one.
Yes. I mean, go ahead. You start.
Go ahead, Trev.
Honestly, I didn't
Chocolate
care
cherry
much
milk.
for the remake. I mean, it was
It's not too bad,
watchable,
but
and
I-
that's about the best thing I
Not
can
the
say
vote
for it. It
What I
depended
wanted, they
very
were out of.
heavily on
So,
you
like, I
having
panicked and I
seen
picked that.
the original to get most of the references and jokes they were making in it. it shoehorned a lot of stuff in from the original, like the dryer scene they keep coming up. That it worked very naturally, organically in the first one, and it worked very well. And the second one, they're like, oh, the dryer scene's coming up. Fuck that. It's a very different feel. The first one's a slasher film. The second one tries to be more of a procedural investigation. I didn't care for it. It's not my cup of tea. Doesn't mean that it was bad.
Yeah,
It's just it's not my favorite.
Dreambird, you know.
I don't know, unless there's something better.
Wow.
I really liked that the 2009 version, we'll call it that, wasn't like a shot-for-shot remake. It was more of a reimagining because you have like, you have the main character, and this one's called Tom, not TJ, for the Jesse.
The Jesse, that's his name.
That's what his name will forever be. You have Tom coming back to town simply because he's coming back to town to sell the mine, and he wasn't doing that in the original. And that was a neat twist. I felt that wasn't there beforehand, where so like it adds an element to the movie that wasn't there before. Like it gives more depth to several of the characters. You have like I'm trying to distinguish between things I liked and things I didn't like, and they're mixing in my head. I hated how it was a 3D movie, so there's all kinds of these cheesy 3D shots.
He's not even here. 3D.
This whole 3D fad needs to die a horrible, horrible death soon.
Opposed to what Trav just said, I don't mind 3D movies. I don't like forced 3D shots. I don't like it when a shot goes, this is a 3D movie, so it does weird shit like that. I hate that.
Actually, I think that this is one of the first movies that just relaunched the 3D genre.
It was very early, yeah.
I hated that about it. Like, just every once in a while, it's like, we're going to throw this at this camera, and it's,
Getting a sweeping shot of the shotgun so you can have it 3D.
Exactly, I hated that about it. But overall, the fact that it was the same but different, I really liked. A lot of remakes are just, it's the same story, you know exactly what's coming, everything's the same, nothing is different, but you kind of know what's coming. This one wasn't that. There was a lot of different elements while using the same characters, while being the same, so that it was familiar but different, and I really liked that about it.
Full disclosure, I love Jensen Ackles, and I'd watch him do almost anything, so that was a huge advantage for me. But the reason why I like the remake better is that I think the story held up better, the acting is better, like from almost everybody.
That's fair.
The acting is almost is better, and the mystery, they did a much better job of convincing me that these two guys equally could be the murderer. In the first one, it was like TJ, but maybe Axel, but I'm only really going for Axel because I feel like there has to be a second person in the murder category, and his whole motivation seemed very pasted on at the end. This one, you had Tom with his mystery psych issues, and he's been out of the town, and he holds himself responsible. But at the same time, you also had, it's Axel again, right? In the remake?
No, it is Tom.
No. Is it Axel again as the sheriff?
Sheriff, yes.
Yeah, Axel, who's having an affair and cheating on his wife, and his marriage is falling apart, and he's under all this pressure, and like someone's gonna steal his wife, and the town might fall apart. So the two of them kind of had competing reasons, and they kept flipping back and forth between the two of them as to why one of them might be the murderer. So they did a much better job of setting that up. I like the fact that there were far fewer characters because it was much easier to follow the storyline. Yes, we all miss Fast Ash. It was a tragedy. But without that many extra side characters, it was much easier to keep track of who did what and who was where. I do think they underdeveloped several of the secondary characters. The woman, the affair, I think she looked like she was 16, I swear to God. The girl that the sheriff was having an affair with was very underdeveloped. The deputy was underdeveloped. I never actually figured out the one guy who got murdered with a pickaxe to the face and his last word was "oh shit." The old guy, the one who like his face gets shoved down on the one who was like trying to convince him not to sell the mine. I don't know why he was. I don't know who he was. Like, I don't know if he was a doctor. Like, I have no idea why he was involved with the process. Like, he was very underdeveloped. So I think that was a big weakness of it. And honestly, the 3D thing was, like Ryan said, so incredibly cheesy. It was just like, you guys could have done a lot better with that.
You up?
Things that I liked about the remake definitely was not the 3D shots. Like they were just so cliched. The characterization, I didn't expect it to be Tom in the second one. I thought it was going to be just a remake and that it would be Axel at the end, because throughout the entirety of the new movie, they set him up to be a real big douche.
He was a big dude.
They
cheating
both were.
like he's cheating on
Tom
his
came off more sympathetic.
He did. He was still a douchebag.
He's cheating on his wife. His girlfriend is pregnant.
Wait. Who was cheating on his wife?
Axel.
Was he?
Yeah, with a girl.
Which girl?
From the mall. Not the mall, the
shopkeeper
shopping
girl.
store.
His wife worked at the shopkeeper.
Yes, it's with the other girl.
The other girl.
Oh.
That's who that was.
How did I miss that?
I don't
He
know.
was sick.
No, he watched
No,
it.
I
again.
watched it again. I appreciate your remembrance of that occurrence, but no, I did watch these again.
But the big twist at the end where it was Tom instead of Axel, I liked it because most of the time, whenever, a lot of people, when they see or hear the name Jensen Ackles, they think, oh, it's good. He's going to play another good guy or something or other. And instead, he actually turned out to be the psychopath this time. It was a twist that I didn't see coming. So for that, I mean, it was kind of like a role reversal, because how Axel had it happen to him in the 1981 film and how he grew up to be that way, the same thing happened to Tom just later on in life, where he encountered the same, almost similar situation, and then the cops killed him right in front of him. So then he went and had this big, huge, mental crisis and went to a ward for 7 years. So, I mean, I guess you can write it off that way, but anyway, overall, it wasn't bad. It wasn't a bad remake. I just generally liked the original better because it was something that was never seen before and wasn't established until they actually made it.
Am I the only one that full on loved the original or the remake more than the original?
So far.
Alright.
I think so.
Dang.
Probably.
I liked the original much better than the remake.
I didn't.
I agree with the
dislike-
I liked the acting better in the remake. I thought the acting was more believable and less hokey.
Yeah.
But that's part of why I like the old one too. With the remake, I don't know. I was just kind of a little bored by it, I guess. It's super gross and there's more gore and
A lot higher body count.
yeah, much higher body count. But there was there was something about it that there were these little conversations of I just didn't care. Maybe that's just because I just don't care. Because you're gonna die in a horror movie, so I just don't care. But I think my favorite part about this movie, and we should probably talk about this scene because it's fantastic, is the naked lady chase.
Oh,
Yes! How long? 10 minutes!
No, I read about that.
Yeah.
I read about that scene.
Did you? Okay.
The scene originally called for her to wrap one of the bed sheets around herself, and so
Okay.
that she wasn't naked throughout it. The actress couldn't do it. She kept tripping over it. She kept stumbling. And she
my
kept screwing it
gosh.
up. It was her idea
To just
ditch the sheet and be
Man.
I'm just gonna be naked through the whole thing.
she's awesome,
bare,
then.
full on.
Go her.
Because this is not working with the sheet.
That was amazing.
So I'm just gonna be naked through
Yeah.
this whole bit, and it's gonna be super
It's
awkward.
a pull door, Travis.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was 100% the actress's idea because it wasn't working.
That was magnificent. That was
It
by
was
far
awesome.
the most entertaining part of the entire movie was this ridiculous
talking
naked
about the-
chase. And
naked lady.
You know,
Immediately
and,
does.
and I was like thinking like, what, you know, what, like, how did they get her to do this? Like, so that
It was
explains
her-
a
So
lot.
yeah, it was 100% original.
Yeah,
She
I
just
was
said, "Fuck it."
amazed.
I love that.
You know, just
She was
full
naked
on
for a
nude.
long
It
time.
really was.
Full naked for like
Yeah.
that was like a 10-minute fight.
10 to 15
Yeah.
minute scene, yeah.
Yeah.
Because she
So,
went,
I
she
was
went
impressed
back
by
into
that.
she went into the parking lot to kill her boyfriend
Yeah.
with a gun,
Which she throws, and it of course goes right into the camera because 3D.
right? And then the killer tries to get her, and she runs back into the fucking thing. Still runs around naked,
Yeah.
hides under the bed naked.
And then
gets
uses
murdered.
It's a
the
magic
as a
kill.
shield.
Which
It
is
uses the frame as
badass.
a shield.
Gets a midget killed.
She
I
gets, yeah,
That's
she
the
gets
best
the
one.
midget.
I want to
killed.
know what the hell that bed frame is made out of. It takes like 5 or 6 hits from a miner's blade.
Yeah. So I don't know. So props to her for that because I love that.
Yeah.
That was like the most memorable.
Yeah, it
I did
was.
like the novelty that she ended up in a heart-shaped bathtub at the end of it.
Well, they they
That was
previewed
badass.
that too. Like that
Yeah.
shot showed up with someone in that heart-shaped bathtub before, because like to establish that it was like a cheesy motel.
Got it.
So I'm like, someone's gonna end up dead in that bathtub in a movie called My Bloody Valentine.
But I mean, but otherwise, like aside from that scene, like overall, like it was. I don't know. It was a slasher movie, you know, and there was a high body count. It was gory.
Very
that was
high
cool, you know, but there was nothing else that really like stood out to me.
Gore is no substitute for suspense.
Yeah,
True.
it was.
Depends
Yeah,
on-
it was not. It was not as suspenseful as the other movie. I thought.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It wasn't suspenseful at all.
I didn't think the first one was that suspenseful either.
A little bit.
You have the
it had-
mystery thing going.
Yeah, you were trying to figure it out.
I mean, I guess my thought would be is if you walked in on the remake without the knowledge of the previous movie, would it feel more suspenseful to you?
Maybe.
We'll talk about this.
Okay.
In a moment.
Yeah, you're
when
up.
we're talking about which movie's better or if they're the same or anything like that. So, My Bloody Valentine remake,
3D.
3D.
The only thing that came through your fever haze.
It really is.
I kind of dug it. It's one of the few remakes that I'm actually pretty excited about.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
No one here is saying that they didn't like the remake.
right. I don't know if I didn't like it more than the original, but whatever. We'll get to that in a minute. So, there's a lot of concepts in the My Bloody Valentine remake that make it feel like the people who were working on it were actually kind of fans of the original, or they'd seen the original and they were like, well, this is what I do with it, you know what I mean? As opposed to just like a crass like money grab, you know what I mean? Like, let's get some actors, let's get a name that people recognize, let's throw it in there. Like, these are people who like,
That
you
was the
know,
name people remember.
Yeah. My Bloody Valentine.
like,
It's right up there. Jason, Chucky, My Bloody Valentine.
right? These are the people who like,
Two of the characters in the beginning of
They,
the remake of Jason.
you know, they're excited to do their own thing, but
100%.
keep the stuff. Like, for example,
The remake also.
the killer's costume. Like one of the things in the
Yes.
original My Bloody
The original's the same, right?
remake
The original.
was just like the way the costume works. Like he has this miner's, like he has a headlamp, right? And in the remake, it like describes like the arc of his vision and stuff when he's looking for people, and like, you know, when someone has his attention, like the headlight was on them, like shining on their face. You know what I mean? And, like, so that's like that. To me, that shows like maybe like the director and the screenwriter. They were like, this is this is something I would like to see in the other one. That wasn't in the like that wasn't actually in there. The 10 minutes of tits. Another thing, they're like, because I think like me, they were like a little bit disappointed as like with how non-exploitative like the first movie actually was.
If I can interject while he's choking.
Excuse me.
There was a design thing that was interesting. In the first movie, the slasher, because it was actually the actor who was, the villain, it was Axel. He's this skinny little dude, which takes away from the menace of the killer a little bit. They addressed that in the remake, where when you see a good clean shot, there are very few good clean shots for the killer, but when you see one, he's this big, bulky, Kane Hodder looking kind of motherfucker. And that makes him much more menacing, and that was lacking in the first film.
Yeah, like the second film definitely Like it feels like a labor of love for the first film, which is awesome, as opposed to like other stuff like I don't know, Halloween remake, which is like they just shot Halloween with Rob Zombie and they're like, do this and we'll pay for a different movie that you want to make. He's
I
like, fine,
dig
I
the
guess.
Halloween remake though.
really?
I did, but it could be because I'm a huge fan of Friday the 13th. And Halloween remake feels a lot more like a
It
Friday
does. It
movie
feels
than
a lot.
Halloween.
I mean,
Save that
Michael
for
Myers
October.
not
We
good at
don't
nowhere.
talk about this already.
Yeah, I think we get there's more to dig.
I mean, if you want to throw down about it again, I'm more than happy to.
I kind of do because I don't like the Rob Zombie movies.
There's
Michael
a whole
Myers,
bunch of
not
cool
good at
shows.
doors.
Like,
Great
there's
those walls.
like literally
So that's the
these
Myers
people who
family
are, like,
power.
kind of fans
He's
of
like,
the
you don't
first
need to use
movie.
doors,
As
just
I
go
am,
through a
you know.
wall.
It was, all the iconic murders, like the thing where they're done behind the uniforms drop on the way, she's freaking out and everything. They definitely the old lady in the fucking like washing machine. They remake that.
They did the laundry better in the second one.
I agree.
The washer was better in the first one.
Yeah.
For the dryer.
I agree. And,
They've got the dryer thing.
like a lot of the action
laundry dropping
sequences are better shot.
It was much better than the second.
Yeah.
Killers chasing
I'll agree
ladies
with
through the supermarket or whatever, and they have to escape through the little window, and it grabs, the killer grabs them.
Really quick, since you're touching on that scene, I dig that in the remake, like people constantly are like harassing the hell out of the killer.
Right.
And like it kind of works. So like he's chasing her through the supermarket, and like she hits him with a fucking mop, and he's like, and like they get away. I like that.
She hits him in the face with frozen meat.
Yeah, like she's just constant like super just
She's
harassment
a regular dude.
of the killer.
Yeah.
She's a regular dude. I like that in this movie. I like it in my horror movies in general. I like that in Scream.
Yeah.
Like in Scream, he's kind of an incompetent killer, and I really like
He's not actually that good at it.
No, he's not.
Yeah.
And I like that about this
He's
movie
just getting
too.
started.
I like that about this one where like they throw meat at him, they hit him with a mop,
Right.
and like it works for a while because it's hilarious. I
Right.
do like that about this movie a lot.
That's real good. Like that entire scene's like really well shot and edited, like throughout the entire the length and like breadth of the supermarket, like the weird, like the way they have the case lights.
Yeah, it's very ominously lit.
Yeah, like just lighting like the entire thing, almost like the mine like the previous movie. Like they have the naturalistic, motivated light like coming out. And, like,
I think I said this when we worked at Tops together, but I don't understand why there aren't more horror movies set in like after hours supermarkets.
Intruder.
Real
Yeah,
we'll
that's
talk
pretty much.
Never
it.
seen it.
Bruce Campbell's in it. At the end, he's the cop.
Yeah, I like that. I like that it was made by like what I presume are fans of the original film. They were like a little bit like bummed out that what they actually got was a psychological thriller instead of like a crazy like tits out fucking gore fest slasher movie. What I didn't like about it was the mystery, like the twist at the end, all the stuff.
You
felt
didn't like
very-
that?
No.
Really?
No, well, the second movie I didn't like
yeah.
the mystery.
I'll speak my piece
I did.
and then
Yeah.
because
Well,
all right. Well,
say your piece, then we want to
Flip
talk
the camera
about.
and say your piece.
Okay. Well, what I liked about the movie was actually that it was a little gorier. Like they ramped up the body count. I did enjoy that because when I see a slasher movie,
Yeah,
I want to
you
see
need
people
that.
die.
Right, you want to see people
What?
die and boobs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Two key components of any slasher
saying
flick.
this, but no.
Like, and the twist at the end, I didn't mind the twist at the end. It was a hokey
Other way.
twist,
Other way.
but I didn't
He's gonna
mind
break
it
that
at all.
Well,
So I'm sorry, our counterpart is being just the fuck up. So,
It's Meg, we forget.
So- but yeah, like the twist at the end, like I didn't mind it. It was hokey, but it played out to the end. And, yeah.
See, I didn't care for the twist in the second one because, like, the twist in the first one, okay, I get it. He has a little PTSD going on, which people kill his friends, so he's going to go be a killer. it's cheesy, but it's kind of believable.
It's not a twist though in the first one because the first one's being mysterious.
It's just the mystery got solved.
It's just the mystery gets solved. That's not a
In the
twist.
second one,
That's
we
the way
got
it
this weird
works.
twist where we're trying to build it up. Oh, is it Axel? Is it Tom? Is it Axel? Is it
No,
Tom?
I like
No,
that.
it's totally Tom, and he's got hallucinations, and he's got associative personality disorder, and it's like, this is every bad Malkavian I've ever said at a table.
Shut up. I like that about it because it's kind of like what I said. What I like about the remake to begin with, that it's not a shot-for-shot remake. That it keeps you on your toes. You don't really know what's happening because if you watch the original, you know it's Axel.
Right.
You know that that's what it's supposed to be.
Thanks really hard
So,
to know
quite
it's Axel.
frankly, if you're going into this movie knowing that it's Axel, it kind of catches you off guard because it plays into the fact that whether or not it's Axel or not. If you don't know that it's Axel going into this movie, then it's 100% up in the air.
Right.
So, like, I feel it works. I like that about it.
What, the sequel?
Yes.
Fair enough.
Okay, so I want to ask about this theological plot twist because this seems like something that's happening more and more in horror movies. Like having like a weird twist at the end.
I
Do you
blame
think that
M.
this
Night
is-
Shyamalan Benigno.
Right? Yeah. Okay. I was gonna say that it's his fault, but do we like it though? It's like is this a good like thing to happen?
A twist
Because
where it
does
serves the
happen.
story is awesome. A twist for a twist's sake is bullshit.
Well, I do think it serves the story.
I think it serves the story
I
In
as
just-
well.
this case, it does. It's just not done
I
well.
don't like the reveal. I don't like the whole reveal at the end.
I didn't like the review.
The denouement. The denouement, by the way, is an awesome little screenwriting term. It means the thing that happens after the movie. So everything goes on, and then he escapes, dressed like a fucking like miner or whatever.
Yeah.
Rescue
So,
worker, yeah.
Yeah.
I think the reveal is fine. I think the way that they play the reveal off, where you have like this super tense moment, and then
Right.
someone fucks up, essentially is how it's revealed. And quite frankly, how else are you going to reveal it?
Right.
Like either you're going to have an ambiguous decision, I have to make a decision based
No,
on blind faith.
That was
or-
fine.
Okay.
You mean the
Then-
escape? You know,
So
Well, no,
you
I
don't like
just
the escape?
No, I didn't like that they had to show us through the flashback.
I needed that. I needed it to be shown through the flashback simply because there's a scene earlier on
Where he locks himself in the cage
where
and
he gets
watches
locked
the
in the
killing.
cage by
Yeah.
a killer, and he watches the killer kill someone. I needed the flashback for that scene alone.
That felt
Right.
terribly forced to shoot.
Actually, you know what would have been interesting if they were both fucking masquerading as the killer.
If they were
That
both
would have been they were both the killer. And
like
they're-
they did some, each one did some of the murders. That
Yes,
would have been
I think
awesome.
that would have been awesome.
I was comfortable with that ending.
In public, we
Actual
really
way
hate
it
each
played
other.
out.
I wouldn't have been
Private, we
comfortable
got
with
the
that
secret
ending
ending
because I'm
fast.
not convinced it would have ended like
Right.
with just clean death for
Like-
Sarah in the end. I'm not happy with that at all.
No. That flashback was weird to me though, because like,
Yeah.
when he
Yeah, the whole
he was so crazy that he locked himself in the
And
cage,
hallucinations. I
but
don't
he
know.
didn't remember that.
I mean, it's Hollywood split personality.
It is.
It's
It's
true.
not
Hollywood
real
split
split
personality.
personality.
In other movies, I totally love Hollywood split personalities. I get super excited for it. But like,
it's not even really split personality. It's almost like dissociative personality
Well,
disorder.
Associative personality.
The only
disorder is
reason-
split personality.
The only reason I would qualify it as a split personality is the line where Axel says, "You're here with us, aren't you, Harry?"
Right.
Like kind of like and Tom
Yeah.
says, "Yeah." So that's the only reason, but it's Hollywood split personality.
Yeah.
So and I agree about the
It's
flashback thing is because I'm like, how the fuck did he lock himself in?
Yeah, like that was my biggest thing. was
Like, how did he lock himself in?
right? Like it works and it doesn't. I didn't like it. I didn't like the. I didn't like being told through flashbacks that he was the killer, and like watching like the Evanescence music video of like, Metal Breakdown. You know where he's like yeah. Right, where he's like screaming places and being weird,
Yeah.
like taking like
The
masks off
whole
his head.
flashback
Yeah.
sequence kind of falls flat. But I still needed it because I had to know how he locked himself in.
Makes sense.
The flashback sequence almost kind of messes with the idea because when he has the reveal, it's like he doesn't know.
Right.
that he's doing this.
And then he knows, and he's full on the murder.
He's visually hallucinating
Right.
Harry being there. What's the last name?
Warden.
Harry Warden.
Yeah.
Being there, like he's reacting to him. Meanwhile, everyone else in the room is like, there's nothing there. Like he starts
Right.
out with his full-on visual hallucinations. And then how doing the flashback, they don't do an adequate explanation of saying how was he finding himself in these situations and still justifying them to himself. Like
Right.
how is he like pulling the mask off? Like they don't do enough of a I guess a division between the two personalities,
Right.
quote unquote, where you can be like, he's waking up in weird. I think it would have been better if they showed the murders and then show him not in the costume, waking up in weird places. Like
Right.
what the hell? I think that would have been a better job of
It would
doing
have
it.
been better if they'd either gone full disassociative or full hallucination. Like if he's doing the murders, hallucinating that he's combating Harry, that's one thing.
Shit. Oh my god. They could have made this movie fucking Memento.
Yeah.
Like 100%.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, and at the end, he remembers all the crazy, weird shit that he did throughout the movie, and like we see like little evidence of it like throughout.
Exactly.
That would have been fucking awesome.
That
Oh my
would've-
god. Let's remake the remake. He's like, oh
Exactly what I'm
wait,
saying.
right? Shit. That's why I woke up with like mud on my shoes that one time. Oh my god,
Yeah.
that's the strange scratch across my face, like
That guy would've
even
had cemetery all of a
freaked
sudden.
out. But yeah,
There was
What did
one
you-
part that I did not catch with the remake. I may have missed it, but the scene where he kills the douche boyfriend who's getting into his truck and the girl who ends up later on in the heart-shaped bathtub.
The
Naked
naked
chick.
girl, for those who are
Like,
watching.
Yeah.
like, what the hell was he even doing there?
He was at the.
He was staying at the hotel.
It's like
He
the
was
only
staying-
hotel in
Oh.
town.
Motel.
He was
Motel.
staying at the hotel.
Because he'd come back to town.
And
Yeah,
he's
to
walking
sell
To get us
past,
an
he
inheritance
sees
or
them
whatever.
in the window doing their thing. Somehow he figures out that this is that guy's truck.
I know, because that's the like.
Huge
It's just like,
black
oh
But
hey,
there was only one truck.
I know this is your truck. How do you know I drive a truck? I
Did
don't
you want to
care.
talk about the last picture?
Oh, just overall.
Oh, I don't know. I'm
Oh,
asking you.
was I done with my point?
You
They
were.
were.
You were definitely done with your
Something
point.
happened. I got really excited about remaking the Michael Bay.
Doug
movie.
already talked his point. You were so
Right.
done with your point.
Yes.
Okay, I want to ask one more question. Wait,
Okay.
did you want to make a point first, or
No, go ahead.
You ask a question. I'll let you
Ask your question.
Okay, so this was titled "My Bloody Valentine 3D."
Yes.
Do you think that? Okay, and it's all right if I'm not like trying to say that it was, but do you think that possibly this was just Hollywood taking advantage of the 3D gimmick and remaking a movie unnecessarily?
Absolutely.
But-
Or do you
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
This
All right.
is prior to the 3D gimmick, though. This is like
No,
when-
it was at the height of it. It was at the height of it.
This
No,
is the thing.
I
think
say it
this was
at-
the-
Remember we
during
saw
the
Piranha
rise.
3D around the same time?
Did we? When did
Yeah.
3D come out?
When
There was
what?
like
2009, 2009.
Wait, what?
Piranha 3D. It's
Piranha
apparently
3D.
a film.
Don't
It's a
remember.
remake of
yeah.
Piranha
I
in
don't
3D.
remember. I thought you said Trine.
Piranha
How do you not
3D.
remember Piranha?
I just
Well, it opens with naked ladies swimming underwater.
2003. Next year.
2010.
So you're
2010.
I don't remember
moving
Piranha
shit.
3D because
Right
I was
away.
busy worrying about a wedding at the time.
Fair enough.
Okay, so this might be the cusp,
Yes.
Well,
right? The cusp of the 3D.
I think it's what kicked
Yeah.
off
I think
3D.
it's the start of it. It's
Yes,
like when
yeah.
it was like
We're
spiking.
still riding the wave of like 3D bullshit.
Because
though.
of My Bloody Valentine.
Right? Yeah. I don't know if it's because of my.
sometimes it's well done though. Like
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's solely
Well, I think, like,
because
it
if
doesn't-
I would have
it can't
seen
make
My
up
Bloody,
for a bad movie.
no, agreed.
No.
But
if I would have
it
seen
can
My
add.
Bloody
Yeah, it can
Valentine,
be fun.
It can make a good movie bad.
like what?
like
I
what?
don't know.
Exactly. I
Any
Oh,
movie I've
disagree.
seen in 3D has not been a good movie.
Trav,
Really?
you can't
You
see
watched
3D.
Mad Max in 3D with us.
No, I did not. I watched it in 2D because I can't see 3D.
Then you're blowing his mood.
But there's good movies that have been made in 3D 3D, like Star Wars is a good example.
Yeah,
The last Star
Mad
Wars
Max.
came out.
Coraline.
Max
was
is also
amazing.
comes to
Yeah.
mind.
Coraline.
Tron Legacy is
Yeah.
another really
I
good
never saw
one.
it.
3D.
I saw Coraline in 3D, and it was amazing. in 3D.
Coraline is widely regarded as one of the best examples of a 3D movie.
Because it's not, they use it to bring depth to the shots. Like
yeah.
a lot of the shots are like they're in the walking
Well,
through the
that's-
gardens and the
yeah.
flowers are layered out.
That's good, like an animated
Yeah.
game.
Okay, so we've had a lot of technical issues tonight, and for anyone still paying attention, or who's watched all, at this point, 3 videos of us, we apologize for that, but thank you for your dedication. 2 weeks from now, we'll be broadcasting again. We're going to try to get going on YouTube. We'll be sure to share that link when we go live next time as well. Bit of a different perspective, camera angle, all that good stuff. Maybe better service.
Definitely better. Sir.
Definitely better service.
Actually.
We will have our next topic the Monday before broadcast, as this past week was. So if you have any thoughts, comments, agrees, disagrees, suggestions, anything, drop us a comment, Facebook message.
Also, follow us on Twitter
Follow us on Twitter.
at Cinema Synergy.
Follow us on Twitter at Cinema Synergy.
Saturdays.
No, just Cinema Synergy on Twitter.
Okay.
You can find us there. You can find us on YouTube, Cinema Synergy Saturdays.
Yeah, like he's saying, you've heard what we like, you've heard what we hate, you've heard what we hate that we like. Please, what do you like? Talk to us. Give us some feedback. What do you want us to talk about? Find the most embarrassing movie you can think of.
I mean, we've already watched Batman v Superman.
How much worse gonna get? How much worse gonna get?
Oh, 50
Is this
Shades.
movie just gonna be
Anyways,
dicks for
we will
us?
see you folks in 2 weeks. Have a good
Every
night. We'll see you then.
fucking
Take it
Good
easy.
night.
Good night.